My name is Peter Bonney. I am one of the co-founders and I'm the CEO of Vendorful. Thank you for joining me today. This is part of our recurring series of short live demos of Vendorful. Each week we kind of go through solving a different problem, tackling a different topic in Vendorful. So, check back regularly to our website to see what the next week's topic is going to be. Today, we are talking about performance evaluations and setting them up, running them, and kind of making that as easy as possible. The other thing I'll mention about these recurring demos, they're all going to be under 30 minutes. Goal is to kind of show you how to do things quickly, efficiently, make your life easier, bite-sized solutions to big problems. So before I get into the demo, I want to kind of lay a little bit of foundation here. So like I said, the goal here is to emphasize simplicity, and we can set up very, very complex performance evaluations. That'll be a topic for another demo. Goal here today is to show you kind of an end-to-end process and show you how kind of quick and easy it can be. One of my big bugaboos is I think companies don't evaluate nearly enough of their suppliers. I typically hear numbers between 15 and 20% of companies' suppliers get subjected to kind of a formal SRM program, which would usually include performance evaluations. I think that's way too low. If you think about it from the other side of the equation, your suppliers, they're evaluating 100% of their customer relationships. I can guarantee you that. I know that we are. So I'm a big proponent of trying to evaluate every supplier, even if it's just a very simple evaluation. The one question evaluation can do a lot of very powerful things and reveal a lot of interesting data at scale. And so that's what I'm going to use as an example today. And we'll go through that. Now, the other thing I'll mention ahead of time is we're going to be showing you qualitative performance evaluations. We also support quantitative performance evaluations, what we call metrics in Vendorful, which are essentially KPIs and data drawn in from your other systems, typically like say an ERP or a finance system, or it could be an IT system, depending on what you're monitoring. Drawing that data in real time, allowing you to do real-time performance monitoring, deferred performance monitoring, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever it is that makes sense for you, and bringing those KPIs into an overall performance evaluation as part of a combined scorecard. But again, that's purpose of these demos is kind of focus on one bite-sized problem. So today we're going to be talking about simple qualitative performance evaluations, and then topic for another week will be those quantitative performance evaluations. All right, so with that, I'm going to share my screen and get right into it. Okay, so you should be looking at a survey template here that we've gone ahead and started. It's very aptly named the one question survey, because that's what I'm going to be talking about. Now, I'm sure most, if not all of you, will have seen those kind of one question NPS surveys you get in software all the time or over email. How likely are you to recommend us to a friend or something like that on a scale of 0 to 10? There's nothing magic about those. The reason why those are always one question surveys is that people respond to one question surveys. And so if you want to drive adoption, if you want to get high response rates, if you want to start collecting real data at scale on your entire supply base, as I've said, I'm going to repeat myself. I sound like a broken record. I am a huge advocate for sending out simple, sometimes even one question surveys, make it really, really easy for stakeholders to respond and start collecting that data, and then use that data to figure out where you need to drill in deeper. So that's what we're going to do. All right, we've got our one question survey. We can call this, performance evaluation. And as I've mentioned, showing you a demonstration here. It's going to be simple. there's a lot more power to this, and we'll on a later webinar we'll go into kind of like setting up a more complex survey as a separate topic. So we've got our section here. Just going to add a simple question. We're going to be evaluating, any number of different kinds of suppliers. So let's just say, make this pretty generic. How satisfied are you with this supplier? Simple. We have a bunch of different question options. Obviously, to get quantitative data, free text is not what you're looking for. So it's going to be a range or a yes, no. We have a couple of different range options, and these are also customizable. So NPS style, that's your kind of classic 0 to 10. What do you think? And I think those are good for, people are used to them. It makes sense to them. You can set options like, allow people to select NA on a question. Makes sense if you have a long survey. If somebody feels they're not qualified to answer a specific question, they can skip it. Excuse me. In this case, it's just going to be simple one question, so no need for an NA. You want everybody to answer everything. So there you go. That's your one question. We can jazz this up a little bit, just to kind of show you a tiny bit more in a minute. We'll add another section. We've got the performance evaluation. Let's say comments. This could be in the same section, but just to show you how this would end up getting set up and show you how weights work, we'll adjust that. We are going to say, okay, what is the main driver? That rating. And you can allow people to skip this and say it's, sorry, I said it is not required. There won't be an NA option on a text field. So it's not required. Okay, so then we are going to set our weights here. We're going to say, oops, excuse me. We're going to say, we don't want to weight the text thing as having any weight. There's nothing quantitative in there. So we're going to do custom weight by section. We're going to say the performance evaluation is 100% and the comments are 0%. That's just for information. And you'll also notice we have what's called a pass-fail option. You can designate thresholds below which a supplier's evaluation is a failure, in which case alerts will go out, certain stakeholders will get notified. But again, beyond the scope of this demo, we're just trying to tackle setting up a survey, sending it out, looking at the responses, etc. Okay, so now we've got our very simple survey here. We can do a little preview of what this is going to look like to the user. They're basically going to get this kind of simple survey, one question to answer, how satisfied are you, and then any comments. Okay, we'll go back to edit here. This looks ready. Left something out here. You can send, in Vendorful, you can set up surveys to kind of go out on an ad hoc basis. Like I just want to send it out to these, 2 people, 3 people, 10 people, 100 people. You can also set it to go out based on roles that you designate in the system. If you kind of want to just basically have a, kind of a general configuration and then let the individual supplier set up where, certain stakeholders are assigned to certain roles and kind of let us figure it out. So in this case, we've got a performance evaluator role that we assign to individual suppliers. And I'm going to make this kind of the way that we assign this survey. I'll show you in a second kind of what the consequences of that. All right, so this is ready to publish. Now you've got a live survey and we can send it out. So sending it out is equally easy. So I'm just going to go in here to my performance surveys, say I want to send a new survey using the one question survey that we just created. Move on to selecting the vendors. All right, and we're going to basically, you could filter by category here. Say I want to, run a evaluation on all my different CDN providers, or I want to evaluate my CRM providers. Sure, let's do that. We're going to evaluate our CRM providers. So we're going to send it out to HubSpot and Salesforce. And you can get granular in here. You can basically, since these, excuse me, these software providers, serve a couple of different categories. Salesforce is primarily known for CRM, but also does marketing automation. HubSpot primarily known for marketing automation, but also does CRM. And we're going to do this, we're evaluating them both strictly on CRM for this. So that's going to be in your records and in your data, so you can do the right comparisons, collect the right data. Okay. You can set up performance evaluations to go out one time. Like I just want to send this out right now. I want to start it immediately. Or I can set things on a cadence. I want to do this, I want to start a quarterly evaluation, and I'm going to actually start this, beginning of next quarter. And then, that will just kind of go out on a cadence every quarter. But for this purpose, we're just going to send it out one time today. And, so you will see that I didn't add participants I did not add role assignments to the comments section. That was a oversight on my part there. No problem. We can go ahead and add participants. If I want to collect feedback from these people, there we go. And then likewise, I didn't, same thing applied to Salesforce. So I'm just going to go ahead and add people. It's pretty straightforward. And now I've got this going out to all the necessary people. I'm ready to send it out. It's going to go out one time immediately, and the responses are going to be due, within 2 weeks. Go ahead and boom. And okay. So I see a couple questions coming in. I'll get to questions at the end, if you don't mind, unless they tie into something I'm talking about at the moment. So see them there and just give me a couple minutes to get to them. All right. So this survey has now gone out. By the way, I am logged in here as one of these users. So if I will have received an email notifying me that I've been, assigned this survey task here for Salesforce and HubSpot. And if I come into Vendorful and look at my tasks, I will see them there. There's a number of different ways to get to it. It'll be on my dashboard. I can go in through the menu, or I can just click on the notification I get in my email. And so just like we saw in the preview, I've got this performance evaluation. I'm evaluating Salesforce here. Pretty happy with Salesforce. And I've set this up to sign. You don't have to do this, but that's an option. Blah, blah, blah. Sign and submit the survey. And that's it. The other respondents will do the same, and then the results will come in. Let's do this cooking show style. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to one that's already been done. So go into performance evaluations. Got the completed responses here, and let me find Amazon, because I know we've got pretty extensive response here. So, all right, so this is an evaluation we ran on Amazon Web Services, and this is a different template because I just created the one you just saw, but similar. And you can see that basically we've got kind of the same thing, the basic 0 to 10 question, the comments that got collected. So, the aggregate score, everyone's individual responses, everyone's comments, any signatures that were collected, didn't do it on this one. And then, the individual responses, if I wanted to go through them in more detail. And so let's see. So that was actually it. Let me now show you just one last thing, that the other sort of key part of this is these performance evaluations then tie in to the vendor record in Vendorful. So, we go into AWS. This is their performance evaluation. I think the one I just showed you was not their most recent evaluation. So we look in their whole history of survey results. Yes, this was the most recent one, rating them at 77.5. just a week after this other one. So this is their current score. And, that just appears as part of the vendor record in the context of all the other information, how much we're spending with them, contacts, et cetera, and whatever attributes we're tracking on them. Again, don't want to get off topic here. These are all, topic for other demos. Point is, to show you how to set up a simple performance evaluation, assign it to people, send it out, respond, collect the responses, and then see the results, and see how those results then tie back to the vendor record. And that's it. All right, I'm going to get into questions here. All right, first question I have is, do you integrate with the contracts module in Jagger? Can you schedule surveys, let's say 90 days out from contract end date? Great question. You can certainly schedule surveys at any time. We integrate with other CLMs. I am not off the top of my head immediately familiar with Jagger. So brief digression, most of our integrations are built through a platform called Workato, which is essentially kind of like, sort of an enterprise Zapier where, we build a connector to Workato, and then Workato has existing connectors to thousands of different systems. I'm gonna have to check if I know Jagger is part of it. I don't know if Jagger contracts. I'll have to check exactly what the connector looks like there. But assuming that exists, then that integration exists, and that is certainly something that could be done. Conceptually, yes. I just have to check on the specifics of that one integration. So yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it. Is we've got a contract coming up, want to run an evaluation ahead of time, so we don't just kind of blindly renew. As a brief other digression. Saw some data from an interesting source that we were privy to that showed there is essentially no correlation between internal customer satisfaction and software contract renewals, SaaS contract renewals, because people don't do these kinds of performance evaluations. So yeah, it is a very pertinent question and a good way of thinking about it. Okay, so let me see. Got another question here. Can you customize the question response options? Yes. So the one I showed you was sort of that 0 to 10, and then there was also a range option. The default range is 1 to 5. We allow any kind of custom range, and you can also just set any range labels that you want. It could be A through F. Unacceptable on through excellent, whatever it is you think is appropriate, and you can set the numeric score for each of those levels. Okay, next, can you share the response with vendors? Yes, with one little caveat. So if I drill in here, if I look at this one, so you'll see there is this visible to vendor option. And so, sharing it is as simple as just checking a box. Then, so taking a step back, vendors in Vendorful get access to their essentially side of this supplier record. So, there's a variety of vendor self-service options to update their information, to review their information, respond to RFX, et cetera. And so if you check the box on a performance evaluation, they will see that performance evaluation visible in their dashboard, which looks very similar to this. The one caveat there is we show the aggregate score. We don't show the individual survey respondents scores, just to preserve anonymity and allow people to be forthcoming without sort of concern about well, okay, my supplier is going to know that I said X, Y, and Z about them. We just show them the aggregate score, no comments, aggregate score in detail down to the question level, but not how each individual person responded. Okay, I definitely talked about this a little bit, but let me just reiterate. So the last one I have here is about scheduling options. Can you send surveys out on a cadence. So yes, so what? See, I've seen our customers do it both ways, where they have sort of an annual, quarterly, quarterly or annual cycle for running performance evaluations, or sometimes ad hoc, or as somebody asked, in anticipation of specific events like a contract renewal, or response to specific events like a particularly large contract or something like that. But you can set them up to go out on a cadence, and some of our customers do have them go out on that scheduled cadence. That's why we have that feature. But actually, to be honest, a lot of our customers will have an annual or quarterly cadence to running performance evaluations, but they do it by hand, which I understand. There's sort of stuff happening offline outside of Vendorful, series of meetings gearing up for, performance evaluations. And so they just want to send them out by hand when they're ready, and just have it all happen in the system, but not sort of get sent out without somebody saying, push the button and send it out. So, we support it either way. Okay. And with that, that was the last question I had. And like I said at the top, my goal is to be very short and efficient, show you how to do something kind of from end to end in a short amount of time. And so no need to keep you longer if we can get through it in just over 20 minutes. And I'm going to give you all some time back. Hope you found this interesting, educational. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up with me, and you will, I believe, within a day or so, receive an automated email from Zoom with a link to the recording. Hope you all have a great day.